If this product is bad, this is gonna pop. It's gonna pop. And if you leave this on here and it's very tight, it may have already popped and you may not know it because you got
this come fast right in here.
Huh?
Doesn't it pop up? The middle pops up fast.
If that middle pop up, you didn't produce that right. This right here, that's why I'm saying it should be a seal. And you should not be able to break that seal until you get your fingernails and pull it off and you hear that.
Yeah.
So if you don't hear that, you know, but yeah, I take mine off. I let them sit like that because I know if this is properly done, that seal is on there, no botulism is in there, I can leave it like that. And that's what Dr. Sorensen taught me is to always check it that way. That way you know that your product is safe.
So how long do you keep it off?
You can keep it off indefinitely if you want to. It really serves on purpose. Now once you open it, then yeah, you want to put the top back on there and put it in the refrigerator.
Oh yeah.
Now my mom and them, they never put the gel in the refrigerator. So if we're properly canning our products are supposed to last a long time.
Are we going to get handouts?
Yes, you'll get handouts, sure will.
A question. Why would it hurt someone when you are canning when the same way that you get some okras or some peas or something, you cook it on the fire and you eat it, and it doesn't do anything to you. But then when you're canning, then is it? I mean, and you leave the leftovers in the refrigerator and it sits in there a couple of days. I mean, you still go and warm up your stuff and eat it.
But it's been cooked too. But botulism when you're just trying to can something like this, it's the air and things in there that can allow that botulism to grow. Because this is going to be on the shelf for a year, 1, 2, 3 out of many years. For example, let me show you something. You see this right here? Okay. Guess when this one was done? Yes. Take a guess.
Because you're sounding like that, I'm going to 10.
You are all wrong. My grandmother passed in 2005. This is the last jar of jelly that she made. I get emotional just even talking about it. But this is the last jar that my grandmother made. So that's what I'm saying. If you properly done that, it's going to last. It's going to last. And I've kept this in the refrigerator. Once I opened the last jar that she canned in 2000, she probably did this in 2004. But she died in 2005. And she wasn't able to really can her last year of life. So she probably did this in 2004. And so, yeah. So when you properly can something, you can stand behind your product. Still good. And this is blackberry jelly. That's all she ever made was blackberry jelly. So yeah, when you properly can, you can stand behind your product like that. You don't have no question about it. Now once that person take it home, it's up to them to take care of it, keep it in the refrigerator, however. Yeah. But you should be able to. But yeah, botulism will grow because air is getting in there. Now I brought some examples of some canned things. This is soup. So if you wanted to make soup, this is a soup you made. This was also done with water bath canning, but this is soup. Over here we have salsa, okay? And we already tried our okra, so we have a pick of okra. Some of us tried more than others. Okay, and then this is the peach jam we have here. And so today we're going to be doing pickled green beans, okay?
This is all of them I want, but the preserves because I do my hibiscus.
So you can make the hibiscus jam.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Chef Zoo had made it for us and gave because he had gotten a grant from Food Well Alliance to he didn't teach us. He took our products. Everybody, all us farmers gave him our products and he did out of it. You know, some people had an abundance of tomatoes.
I'm saying, what did he make?
hibiscus jelly and jam.
Oh, okay, the jelly jam, yes.
Yes.
There's a gentleman that was selling hibiscus jam. I can't remember, it was a black guy.
He is out in the capital, in Blackstone.
You know who I'm talking about? Yes.
Yes.
It's a family. I know it's an older, middle-aged, older gentleman.
Yeah, he was in the service.
Yes.
He partnered with,
yes.
what, those guys that are down there in Stockbridge.
Oh, okay.
I was the first to grow hibiscus in Atlanta 40-something years ago. I made it famous because hibiscus is from the islands, but it grows in tropical area. Right. It grows in hot weather. And we in the islands, because it's reaped in the fall, it is called the Christmas drink or the holiday drink. And we put wine or Jamaican rum in it, and we eat fruit cake and celebrate Christmas and the holidays. Yeah. Well, because I was able to grow it in abundance here, then I was able to dry it and get it all year round. And so because I was going into it as my value-added product, I was able to make my juice all year round. Oh, wow, yes. And now all the restaurants and so on and so forth have, taken it over. They don't grow it. It's just me and that other man. Lots of people grow a few trees, but we grow it in abundance. Yes. And so I sell hibiscus. I'm drinking it as we speak. My grandmother's recipe. Oh wow! Yes. Yeah, hibiscus, sorrel, and ginger. Yeah. Yeah. So everybody has a handout of water on the water bath canner, and the water bath canner. It's nothing fancy, nothing out of the ordinary. If you want to, you can get a large pot like that. They have nicer ones than that. That is the old-fashioned, old-school one. But my boss, she actually has the newer one that is stainless steel and it has a pretty clear top. So you can do that. You know, if you want to invest in it, And if you're only going to do just a few jars, maybe this size, you can probably use a regular pot. The thing is, like, that will fit. If you want to do a few jars, and that will fit. You just want to make sure it is 1 to 2 inches above the top. And that's going to give you just barely enough to cover it. But you want to make sure that when you're canning it, that water is 1 to 2 inches above. That way we make sure that it's fully submerged. You don't want any of it out. It has to be fully submerged, okay? So that is your basic water. And there with the top, the seal, and the top. Yes, you're gonna just finger tighten it, okay? So this is our water bath canner over here. My old one. I use the sterilized baby bottles. They used to do baby bottles, sterilized baby. Oh yes, sure, yes. So this has a rack on here, and so when you're filling it up, you got your water in there boiling. You got your water going here, and so all you're gonna do is just take your jars. Put your jars in here, sit them in there, however many you're doing, however many you get. You put your jars in there, and then you're going to lower it down, and when you're finished, you're going to break it back up, okay? So let's look at some of the tools we need. What tools? Let me ask you something. How long does it have? That's going to be based on your recipe. That's what I said. When I said we're going to follow our recipe exactly. So whatever that recipe says, that's what you're going to do. In this case right here, I'm going to give you guys 2 different green bean recipes, and y'all are free to use whichever you want to do today. Can you see these? Oh yeah, those will take time. Okay, that's a garlic spice king, green pickle beans, and then this one is dill pickles. They're very similar. Now, you can add a little bit more, a little less of something if you like. If you don't like so much dill, you can leave out a little dill. I love garlic, so I would tend to probably put more garlic in mine, okay? So those are 2 different recipes. But let's look at our water bath canner and just kind of go over what we're doing. Okay, so most water bath cans are made of aluminum or porcelain covered steel.
At least one stainless steel model is also available. Boiling water cannons have fitted lids and removable racks that are either perforated or shaped wire racks. The cannon must be deep enough so that at least 1 inch of briskly boiling water will be over the top of the jars. These will not work well on smooth top ranges, which that is. So we're going to do the best we can because that is a smooth top range. But according to UGA direction instructions, they prefer a regular cooktop because that was my boss really had a complaint. They put us a new kitchen in, spent all this money on the kitchen. Then they sit up there and she's like,
gas stove or
that's electric, but that's the flat top, and it just doesn't get quite as hot. And so she complained about it, but they wouldn't change it. But they did allow us. We had a mobile cooktop that did have the the regular old range on that, so they did allow us to keep that, even though they didn't want us to. But preferably, not that kind. But that's okay. We'll be fine. Okay. So some boiling water cannons do not have completely flat bottoms. These will not work well on smooth top range. The cannon bottom should also be fairly flat or used on electric burners. Either a flat or rigid bottom may be used on a gas burner. To ensure uniform processing of all jars with an electric range, the cannon should be no more than 4 inches wide in diameter than the element on which it is heated. Okay, so that's important. You don't want it to be more than 4 inches because it's not going to properly heated up. So we're right at the edge right there, but we're not 4 inches, but we may be an inch or two over. Okay. With a center what I said to ensure uniform processing of all jars with an electric range, the cannon should be no more than 4 inches wide in diameter than the element on which it is heated. So that whatever you're using shouldn't be like if you got a little old bitty burner like this, you don't need a big pot like that. Yeah, that's just not going to work well because it's not going to heat it up and it's not going to get that boiling the way it should. And that's the main thing. It has to be a good rapid boil. So before you start preparing your food, place cannon racks in the bottom of a boiling water cannon. Fill the cannon half full with clean warm water for a cannon load of pint jars. For other sizes and numbers of jars, you will need to adjust the amount of water so it will be 1 to 2 inches over the top of the filled jars. Center the cannon over the burner and preheat the water to 140 degrees Fahrenheit for raw packed foods and 180 degrees for hot packed foods. And when you're looking at your recipe, it's also going to tell you whether this is a hot pack or cold pack recipe. All right? Clearly tells you that. Let's see what ours says here. Okay, yes, this is a raw pack. So the green beans we're doing today is raw pack. Some things will say hot pack. That means you actually cooked it a little bit before you put it in. So your recipe is going to tell you hot pack or raw pack. Once again, follow that recipe exactly as it says. Don't make any changes because that's when you start to have problems. When you say, oh, you know what, I don't like that so much, so I think I'm going to do this. Don't do that. Keep that recipe as it is, Now, if you have a reputable recipe for something, like for instance, me working for UGA, like I wanted to make a pineapple orange marmalade. They said we don't have a recipe for pineapple orange marmalade. We have a recipe for orange marmalade. So I wasn't allowed to do that on my job because that's something that has not been tested and we don't know exactly what the interaction is. And I'm also leery a lot of times about mixing up different things. Like when you're doing something like soup and salsa, you want to specifically know how this should be canned. You need to know exactly what the temperature is, how hot it should get, and all of that. So you're following it exactly as it is. Now, when you're working with something with sugar in it, like we're making jellies and jam, that's more forgiving. When you're doing something with vinegar, that's more forgiving. But when you get into stuff like this, it's a whole different ball game. You want to be as careful as you can because you have so many different ingredients in here. Instead of one ingredient, you have several different ingredients in here. Okay?
Is this vinegar?
No.
That's water.
Yes.
Question. The nutrition value of canning and jarring these things, or preserving these things. How is it compared to eating fresh?
It's going to be much better fresh, for sure. But you have to understand from which canning grew from. Canning grew from a need. That's why I go back and talk about the food history. They had no way of preserving food. You had no refrigeration. So every region had a form of preserving food. It just depended on what region you were in. So canning was actually invented here in America, and it was just a way for people to be able to survive through the winter. You know, now we have refrigerators. We have, a lot of different ways of getting food, but in many, instances, our ancestors did not. So it's going to preserve some of that nutrient, but of course, your fresh and your frozen is going to be your best choice. But this is what we do out of necessity, out of survival mode. And hopefully we won't get to that again. But if we did, isn't it better for us to know how to can some food and know what to do? Now we're making pickled green beans today. Quite different. The process of pickled green beans and this entirely different. These are two entirely different things. They taste different, and you're canning them entirely different. This has to be pressure canned. Okay? It looks. Did y'all read the see the video that I did? Y'all didn't see the video.
When it came in.
Oh, okay.
We were
Okay, and see, that's why I don't want to go over everything again today. I just want us to kind of focus on canning, but I did want to give y'all some tips. But that's a 2-hour video. So anything that I'm talking about today is in the video. So I would say whenever, if you have it at your disposal, how many times I'm up to come over today? So if you have it at your disposal, just take your time and, go over it. But this is pressure can, no salt in here, nothing. Okay, it's just green beans. If you take these out, now I really don't know when you take these out how done or how raw they're gonna taste, because I've never tried them before like this. I've only really eaten the pickled green beans. I just figure it's not gonna be that delicious. But once again, these are things that we preserve out of meat. This is survival food. This is all our ancestors had. So yeah, a lot of times people ask me, well, what's the nutritional value? Well, why you canning? Well, we do it now for fun. Right. We don't have to. This is fun. But what if we did have to? What if something happened? Now, we look at America as being the land of milk and honey. And like that little boy told me, I was teaching a class, there was a little Indian boy there. And I said, yeah, we don't expect to have any food shortages. I said, because, America is the greatest country in the world. He said, is it? That tickled me. I laughed about that. I said, let me clarify that. As far as food is concerned, we're a country where we don't generally have to worry about food. You know what I'm saying? So every time I start talking about food now, I go back to that little boy's place. I can look at him in his face like, is it? But as far as food-wise, you would expect America to be probably one of the last countries to have a food shortage and for us to really be in a position, but we never know. These are very uncertain times that we're living in. So what I tell my kids all the time, they say it all the time. They'll say to my boy, better safe than sorry. Right. So that's me, better safe than sorry. Better to know how to do something like this if we ever had to, than to say no. Now, Pearl, she like these pickled okras. She like these, so she gonna get the pickler. This gonna be her survival food. Pearl said, I'm gonna have 48 cans of pickled okra.
I guess I have some of the areas that preserve it. I want to preserve.
Yes. And for me,
that's how Fannie Lou Hamer, in the co-op and everything in the 60s. That's how she got to help them farmers to get over. Same thing, so it wasn't even that far back.
It wasn't that far back. It wasn't.
So I want to ask a question about you said the green beans, they may not be that delicious. What's the general time that you would, I remember I took a class from you before, and I'm going to get spanking for not remembering the time. But you told us a time that we should let it sit for.
Yes, about 4 to 6 weeks at least.
4 to 6 weeks.
Because I remember that gentleman. He said, "I ain't gonna make it through the night." He didn't make it through the night. It was so funny. But that brine was delicious.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't even expect that brine to be that good. We made pickled beets before, and I don't even really like beets, but I love the pickled beets. I mean, that brine that we had used was just amazing. And I think it's I used the recipe that was actually out of this book. Yeah.
So what I'm asking is, would it possibly be that if it sits for that long, it will bring some of the taste out of it?
Yes, that's normal. Because look, this is 2011. Look how long this has been. They still look the same. Yeah.
But he's saying there's no seasoning in here.
There's no salt, no seasoning. It's very plain. It's just water and green beans. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I said you open these.
That ain't gonna change then.
Yeah, it's not gonna change, so.
But you know, when you're warming it up, if you want to use
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, just like
then
you can put whatever you want in there, whatever season, yeah,
Mhm.
you know, once you open these, you gotta
Yeah.
taste it and determine, are they very soft or are they still crispy? We don't really know.
Okay.
And this is the only can, that's why I don't open it, because this is my display. I'm curious too,
Mhm.
but 2011, I wasn't even working at the extension, so this is just a jar that someone had canned prior to me coming there, so I just bring this basically to show the difference between the pickled green beans and canned green beans.
Yeah.
Pickling and canning. Okay, pickling is just generally easier. It's a lot easier because the vinegar in there, in and of itself, that's going to help to preserve it. That's going to help to kill off anything bad in there. So pick is that you got vinegar and you got salt in there. So those two things really help a lot. Just like in the case of making jellies and jams, it's the sugar.
Right.
The sugar helps a lot to kill anything, to preserve it. So
it.
you have different things that are preserved in different ways. So that's basically, you know.
Even refrigerating. When I make hibiscus tea, sometimes I may forget a bottle or, a small one. In the back. If it's sweetened, or if I don't put it up in the refrigerator, if I sweeten it, it could sit on the stove, that sour and ginger, and it could sit on the stove for a long time. I mean, on the counter.
On the counter.
Maybe a week or more.
Yeah.
And it's still good.
Yeah.
If I leave it just
and don't put
no sugar in there, even though I have my grandma's spices in there, which is a preservative.
Yeah.
It still will go bad if the mold start forming on the top compared to when I sweeten it.
Oh, isn't that something? That's a testament of what that sugar is doing.
Right. Yeah. And if I make syrup out of it, it lasts even longer.
Right. Yes. Yeah. You turn it sour syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, water, vinegar, and sugar, but
what do you call it there? Preserving sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it all depends on the spice. If you're going to make it plain or you're going to make it pickled. Did you eat any of these okras?
Yeah. If you would like to try some.
Yeah, I would like to.
Yes. And these were done in 23. So they've been sitting for almost a year now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not crazy about garlic, but as long as I'm not biting it into it. I don't digest garlic very well. And onions.
Okay.
It's a family that somewhere or the other, but I love okras. So, but I love okras boiled, slimy, and not mush, and I just love the.
I love okra fried. I love, like you said, okra boiled.
You just love okra.
I love okra. Yeah. So going on through. Let me see. I'm gonna keep a time. Is it y'all still clock anyway? What time?
We're going to mark later.
Okay.
Can you have too much vinegar or something?
Yeah,
this one here.
Sometimes you can have. It depends on your taste. If you like it, add a little bit more water to it. But you want to keep that vinegar count high because once again, that's your 255. Okay, we got 3 hours. So you know the vinegar helps as a preservative. So you need some vinegar in there, but you can add in other things. Like I brought peppercorns, I brought dill, I brought some what else? Allspice berries. I got some allspice berries somewhere here. I think it's still in there. But yeah, I have the allspice berries. Yes, pimentos. Yes. Okay. So moving along. You're going to add more boiling water if needed so that the water level is at least 1 inch above the jar's top. Pour the water around the jars and not directly on them. For processing time over 30 minutes, the water level should be 2 inches above the water. Why is that? If we're gonna be processing for over 30 minutes, why would we want 2 inches instead of 1 inch? Make sure it stay covered. Yes, make sure it stay covered. And even in that case, you want to go back and check it while it's boiling to make sure that water level doesn't go down below 1. Okay?
To go below the, you
You can add to it.
You can add to it.
does it have to be cold or does it
Well,
have
they
to still be the
prefer-
hot water?
I would say you're better
Boiling.
off putting boiling water. I would put me another pot of
Water.
broth on there,
And yes, pour it.
and then that way you pour it. That way you ain't gotta lose time. You're gonna
Yeah.
lose time, and your
Mhm.
temperature is gonna go
Go
down. So
down.
if you got the boiling water already over there ready, then you go continue that boiling process, and you ain't gonna interrupt what you do.
Right,
So,
and then you're gonna cooling it down,
yes.
but you know,
Add
and
cold
yeah,
water.
you never know if it might.
So you're gonna turn the heat setting to its highest point position, cover the canner with its lid, and heat until the water boils vigorously. Set a timer after the water starts boiling, not when you first put it in there, but after that water starts boiling. Set the timer for 2 minutes required for processing the food. Keep the canner covered. Get me a little water here.
What if I do it? Oh my,
So, and then you're gonna keep the canner covered for the processing time. So when you're processing, we want to keep our canner covered. That's why it's nice to have a pretty clear top so you can actually see in there and see what's going on. Add more boiling water during the process if needed to keep the water level above the jar tops. Pour the water around the jars and not directly onto them. Okay, I did that part already. When the jars have been processing in boiling water for the recommended time, and once again, your recipe is going to tell you what the recommended time is here. 5 minutes for the dill beans, okay? But we also going to have to look at the elevation time. When we look at elevation, the higher the elevation, I think the quicker the water boils. So for us, we're right at sea level. So we're right at 1,000 feet. And it says here for 0 to 1,000 feet, it's 5 minutes. Excuse me, y'all. I'm just talking, I'm gonna get the coughing around. I know. From 1,000 feet to 6,000 feet, you're gonna process it 10 minutes. If you're above 6,000 feet, you're gonna process it 15 minutes. Okay? So actually, it's taking longer for the water to boil, the higher the elevation. The lower the elevation, the less time. So you want to know where you are. And I know that in Cobb County, we're right at 1,000 feet, almost exact.
But are you actually talking about, are we calling the sea level where we are below sea level and above sea level? Oh, so we're actually, so does that mean if we were in Belize, which is so much below sea level, we would be doing what?
I'm not sure, but it's going to change. That's the thing. That's the important thing to know, that wherever you are, you need to know where you are as far as sea level, because it is going to change, you know. And so you need to make that adjustment. So yeah, like you said, if you're in Belize, you're going to need a recipe that is tailored for that, or you're going to need to know how to make that adjustment. Yeah, that adjustment yourself.
So what does I'm gonna be like technical now. Is that the barometric pressure or
it just has to do with how the elevation has to do with how long it takes it to boil. Basically, that's what it's doing. I don't understand the science behind it, but it just has to do with, if you're at a certain elevation, it's going to take this long. As you see, 5 minutes for 0 to 1,000 feet. But then if you're above 1,000 feet, it's going to take 10 minutes. So those adjustments have already been made. I can't really explain exactly the science behind it, but just know that you need to make that adjustment. We're lucky that we're right at sea level, so we ain't really got to do too much. You know? But look at, what if you were in New Orleans and we were below sea level? I don't even know what to do with that, you know. So you gotta make that adjustment too. So yeah. Ooh, I don't know. I'm not sure how that's done.
Carry your canned foods from home.
Yeah, I don't know how. You just probably need to know that ahead of time. But with our telephones, you can probably say, I'm so and so. What is the sea level here? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's probably pretty easy to find.
You might be the meteorologist.
I mean, everything's on our phones now, y'all. You know. So we have 2 different recipes here. We have the garlic spice pickled green beans, And then you have the dill beans. Now, we have the ingredients for both of these, all right? So we can do, it depends on how much y'all want to do today. I mean, if y'all want to take home, how many cans we had? 3, 6, 9, 12. Y'all can do 2 to 3 cans each if you wanted to. Because I got 12 here, and they, you know, they ain't but a few of us. We leave some for Roz, we leave Roz some.
Yeah.
So if y'all say, hey, let's do this recipe first, and we can do this one second, just to see the difference in the taste if you want to, you can do that, all right? So it's up to y'all, but I'll let y'all decide. Do this one? Okay. Well, that's what I said. Let's do this one first. We'll just do the garlic spice canned pickled green beans recipe first. All right. So basically, prepare 7 pint jars, bands, and lids, and can for processing. Heat can and keep water simmering while preparing beans. So the first thing we want to do is we have to get our jars ready. So we're going to go ahead and put our jars. Get our jars ready to go and have them sterilized. That's what you always want to do. You want to wash your jars and then you want to sterilize your jars, okay? You want your jars to be as clean as you possibly can. And once you get them washed and sterilized, you really don't want to keep messing around with them, touching them. You want to kind of leave them alone as much as possible, okay? So we'll start by getting our jars ready, washing them, putting them in the canner, and then we'll come back here and everybody can start to cut your green beans. And so everybody can take home one of these. We have a little, okay, you can have one to take home. You can use it right now, or if you want to cut your green beans on a paper plate, either way, and not open this until later, you can do that as well. I'm sure. Well, you get it red one because that's all left. I'm saying.
I like that.
Okay, so you'll have that, and you have your knife in here. So let's go ahead and start to get our jars ready.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let you guys do that.
Do we need gloves?
Huh?
Do we need gloves?
No, you don't need gloves. You're fine. Just wash your hands. You should be just fine. So you're gonna wash them, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this water in here.
How many courses or how long does it take in studying for us to be like instructors? That's me to understand.
Well, that's up to you. That's your personal thing. I just do this on my own on the side, but I'm not a UGA instructor. I'm not at UGA. You're only allowed to teach UGA classes through UGA if you're an agent, and I'm not an agent. Okay. I'm a program coordinator. So this is what I do. It's just a matter of knowledge. Yeah. Yeah. It's just a matter of knowledge, and you have to feel comfortable in what you're doing. You know.
Earlier this year and late last year, I called on UGA to the extension department asking them about this same course here, and I think, did they just write to say they're going to be offering you something?
Well, we're offering classes at the Cobb County Extension too.
At Cobb County?
Mm-hmm. Cobb County, yes.
Oh, Cobb
yeah,
County.
We have some classes there, $25 a class, and we do one a month.
But, right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one coming up in July, August, September, and I think October too. So
each county repeat the same thing?
No, this is my person. It says
no, not your person. Are they doing canning and preserving? And
I'm saying in Cobb County we are, yes. We are in Cobb County. I can't speak for another county.
Oh yeah,
Cobb County, yes.
Right now, right. So so because I had left my information, they contacted me about the classes. But yeah, this is something that I wanted.
Yeah, every county does their own thing, you know. So we do ours once a month.
Are you the one doing?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not a UGA agent, so I'm not allowed to do UGA courses. Okay. What I do is on my own personal business. Yes. So that should be enough. So we'll get our water here going.
Or if you never know what material that is. Do you know what material that coffee is made out of? No, it is called enamel. So, yeah, and that is another
Good pot, good material.
yeah, but the thing about it, the first time back in my days, enamel was we use a lot of enamel and cast iron. But if you drop it, it chips. And
So we're gonna once we wash them, we're just gonna let our water boil, and we're gonna put them in there. We're gonna put the
I don't know if you have on the wrong fire.
Huh?
The wrong burner is on.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Things as red as they can be.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see where it's high.
It's high.
Oh,
To the right?
it said low. Why? I wonder why.
Oh, because there are two sides. There is high, and
Well, I'm just gonna look. I'm gonna go back on this side right here because this one I can see.
yeah.
It says high.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna leave that alone. Yeah, melt. I don't know what that really melts.
These two you had in the sink. It was the two you had in the
Yeah, I just put the two in there. So yeah, we'll let that. Let me see. Where's the top? When we put the top on here, this will boil a little bit faster.
Do we have a?
What's the
Oh,
top?
I can pull the chair up. I can. I'm having
I know I ain't leave my top, Lord.
some arthritis.
I believe I did. I believe I don't think I brought the
It's
top.
not in
You
the
know
car?
why?
You did you drive here?
Yes. You know what the problem?
So did you, what was in that blue thing? Was that the top of the thing and that was in the car?
What blue thing? No, I didn't put it in there. I'm thinking I may have, I didn't, you know what? I'm thinking when I put this inside of there, I didn't put the top on there, but that's okay. We'll just have to deal with that as best we can.
Can you use foil?
Huh?
Can you use foil? Foil.
Foil? You could. You could. I think we'll just try and use this. We'll wash this down.
I think I have a roll of foil in the car.
Well, we can do some foil if you want to, and then we'll put this on top of that, and that should hold it in a little bit better.
So how many jars do you want? I go ahead and wash yours out for you.
We'll just do our 12. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
do the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we got a whole, because each recipe,
Is this outside the?
No.
I don't know where that one goes.
Probably the side, but there's
Yeah.
probably no steps there.
Yeah, I don't know where that one goes.
Okay.
So we'll get,
Let me bring the beans over that way or leave them over this way?
you can move them, you can move them out of the way if they're in the way over there. Cause, just put them over here on the table. I mean, it's so easy to make it.
I'm gonna put some more peas.
Everybody can, everybody can do that. We can do some more. And so whatever that starts to foil, we'll put that in there.
all you need over
Yeah, we're gonna probably need some more. If everybody wants to take home 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 6, 9, 12. I would say y'all can do 3, 6, 9, 11, 12. That'll leave 3 jars left.
Okay.
One for me and maybe 2 for Rob. 3, 6, 9. Yeah. Well, that'll be 3 left. So
The ladies, 3.
yeah, Eric, y'all take 3 home. I'll take 1 and we'll leave 2 for Rob. So everybody can take one of these home with you. That's a 2-cup measuring cup. And I cannot get my kids in the cooking class. I say, y'all, it's a 2 cup. They forget every time and think it was 1 cup. I mean, it clearly says it on there, but in their mind, they just see it as a cup. And they always mess up the recipe. And also, I have a little, this is just a little,
How
freezer
many
thing.
hours does it take? Do you take to boil it?
On the boil, it depends. It just depends. I mean, that's probably gonna take us about 20, 30 minutes to get boiling, I would think, because, because the pan is actually pretty thin. So we'll just, once we put that on top, and then we'll put this top on here.
Does longer boiling do anything?
As far as when you're canning, well, I can tell you one thing it's gonna do is it's gonna break the product down more.
Oh.
The longer you boil, the more it's gonna break the product down, and in many cases, it's also gonna change the color of it.
I see.
Yeah, just like for instance, if you're like when we're making strawberry jam. There's more than one recipe for strawberry jam, and one of them calls for a longer boiling time.
Yes.
And you notice that with that one with the longer boiling time, because you're not using pectin, so you gotta boil longer, it turns darker. When you use the pectin, you don't have to boil as long, and it stays more red. So yeah, the longer you do it, it is gonna break that product down more.
If you never knew this, I'll tell you a secret. And I just read when I was doing some studies on hibiscus. Hibiscus seeds. Hibiscus seeds have more pectin than anything.
Isn't that amazing?
Any other fruit.
Oh wow!
So
the pectin seeds.
So
I mean the hibiscus seed.
You boil the seeds to get pectin.
Oh wow!
And then you use the water.
You make your pectin from the seeds. That's cool.
Right.
That's real cool of me to do that.
Yeah. So then, and that's all natural.
Yes.
And the hibiscus plant is one of the plants that you can eat from the root to the tip of the
That's
leaf.
right. You sure
Every
did.
part of it is edible.
That's right.
And drinkable.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I love about that plant. It's such an amazing plant. I tell people all the time, I say, God gave us everything we needed on this earth. Now, man maybe don't kill it out, but he gave us everything that we needed. And when you see plants like that, to me, that's just amazing. Just to see that you can take one plant and use it in all those ways. And I'm also giving y'all this recipe here. This is watermelon rind pickles. So our ancestors didn't let nothing go to waste.
That's right. For a long time I wanted to know how to pickle watermelon rind because people don't. You know who knows how to eat that watermelon rind? Chickens.
Oh wow! Yes.
When I just happen to put watermelon after I'm finished eating it, and I eat it down to the white. And I throw the skin in the. When they're finished with it, you could pan with the little back. They pick out every ounce of it. So they're so organic. Yeah.
Okay, so if we look at this, this is just a way for y'all to see what everything looks like. Our ingredients that we're going to be using today, we have for the first, let me see how many does it make? 7. So we're going to have to do this recipe twice because this one recipe will make 7 pint-sized jars, okay? So we're going to do more than 7, so we'll do the recipe twice, all right? So our ingredients are 4 to 5 pounds of green beans. You can also use yellow beans if you want to. You can use purple beans, but my purple beans turn back green after I cook them. So they're cute, but they turn back green. But the yellow ones will stay yellow. Vinegar. You can use white vinegar, but you can also use apple cider vinegar. Now, why would we not want to use apple cider vinegar? What y'all think? See that pretty color?
No, that's strong.
You don't take the color.
It's gonna down. Yeah. See that white vinegar allows it to look more white. Once you add the apple cider, it's a little golden, so it's gonna take on a more golden color. So it's totally up to you. Now, white distilled vinegar is generally used in this recipe, but if you want to use apple cider, you most certainly can do that. And cane sugar. Many pickle bee recipes use a lot of sugar. This recipe has a lower amount of sugar, but I do like to use pure cane sugar. I don't like that beet sugar. You know, they got new sugars out here, but you really want to look and see if it says pure cane sugar. Just to me has a better taste. It's made from cane syrup, you know. And then you have pickling spice. It's over there somewhere. Oh, I think it might be over there, but we do have our pickling spices here somewhere. You see it behind it? What's that now? Well, it's over there. Okay. We have our pickling spices. That was only, I think, $1.50. And then we have pickling salt. Now, don't ask me why. It says you can also use plain sea salt. You'll want a salt with no additives and no anti-caking ingredients in there, okay? But to be safe, if you're gonna be pickling, just go on and get your pickling salt. You know, it's gonna last a very, very long time. Oh, here's our pickling spices, all right? But go ahead on and get the pickling canning salt for preserving and pickling. And then if you need to use it for something else, it's just salt. It ain't gonna hurt you. Let's see what it tastes like. It tastes like salt. It's like salt, you know? But it is specifically for canning. And on the back, you also have a recipe. Now, a lot of the canning pickles, the reason why people say, why don't you ever make pickles? Because it's like a 2-day process for at least several hours of a process. You can't just make pickles like we're gonna make today. Put them in a jar, put them in that heater. It's a process. You gotta let the pickles sit in something. And even with the watermelon round pickles, that's probably gonna be a 2-day process as well. So that's why I have to choose recipes that are pretty easy here. So you have your garlic cloves. And if you like a lot of garlic, you can add a little bit more garlic to your, jar if you want to. If you don't like garlic, do a little less. We have red pepper flakes. This is essential to me for the spices we love, but you can decrease the amount and leave it out completely. So if you like the pepper, and we have 2 here, I bought both. I have the crushed red pepper, and then I had a cayenne pepper. So you can put one or both of these in here. And if you like it hot, you can add a little bit more. So it's up to you. So you do have a little leeway into, how you want that taste to come out. If you want it a little bit sweeter, add a little bit more sugar to it. All right? So we're going to have our green beans, which we have here, like green beans. And what we're going to do next is we're going to cut our green beans. We're going to cut the tips off of them, and we're going to cut them to fit. So you can just like take a jar like this, look at it, say measure this green bean, how we want it, and then cut all of them to that size, okay? So we can get started with our green beans. And I can tell you, let me get a knife here. You're basically, you're going to have to get the ends out anyway. So you want to look at how long you want them to be, and I'm trying to measure them here, okay? That's a good size for me. And so once I get my first one measured, then I cut the rest of mine to that same size, okay? And you want to get enough of them so that you're packing it in. When you put them in here, they're not going to be loosely packed. You want them very, very tight, because as they cook down a little bit in that water boiling canner, they're going to get smaller, okay? So make sure you have enough. And if you guys, like I say, want to do 2 or 3 cans, y'all just go ahead and do more cutting on your green beans. Okay? All right. So y'all can go ahead and get started. But I do have, somebody wants some gloves? I do have gloves. All right? If you want some, that's up to you. You want gloves? I have some if you want gloves. It's up to you. Yes, as long as you know. I think so. I gotta find them. But that's up to you. You don't have to use gloves. I mean, as long as you're being, clean, you wash your hands already and everything, that's fine.
Where's the knives?
Knives are right there. And this tool here, this is a tool that I would suggest that everybody get, because this is your lifter. Okay, and basically what you do when you mess with that hot stuff over there, you don't want let me see if simple. Lift up, lift down. This is an essential tool. Everybody needs the lifter. If I'm canning, I need my lifter. Okay? And then your
Or you can burn up your fingers if you want.
yes, right. So
Bring your jar with you, honey.
I thought it was drying. I thought it was drying. I don't know. I take them over and leave them open.
What?
The jars.
Well, the jars gonna have to be sanitized first. We're
Right.
waiting on our water to boil, and we're
Okay,
sanitizing. All you guys doing now is just cutting your green beans to your size,
yeah.
and then you can just leave them on the plate or wherever, and then we'll stuff them in the jars once we've sanitized our jar. But we gotta bring that water up to a boil first.
This where Eugene gonna have his class?
Yeah. Virginia's class is gonna be at their site. Gonna be at their site.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you just wanna try to keep your green beans, equally as uniform as you can.
It's best to use knives. That's not serrated because that's what making it fly away.
This group.
The group, yes. We can.
I wanted some scissors.
Huh?
Want some scissors.
Oh, I
Yeah,
have
that
both.
would have worked.
I have both scissors and knives. Flathead knife. And
You guys can take this jar and kind of use this as your measuring jar to see, how long.
yeah.
See, that's actually, mine needs to be a lot longer than that. You can go a little bit higher,
Yeah.
a little bit higher than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go a little bit, I mean, it's okay, but you can go longer. You can go longer.
Can I borrow the jar? Take another plate. I think I have to go. Yes.
And I have I didn't bring, every time I come, I always forget something.
What you want?
I forgot my lifter. That's okay.
I thought you just showed up.
No, I'm sorry, not the lifter. There's a little thing, has a magnet on the end, and you put it to lift your lids.
Oh, the lids.
Yeah, to lift the lids out from the bottom. Yeah, that little thing is pretty important too. But when you start canning, what I would do is I would just go ahead and buy the kit together with one. The user has this, and two more pieces with it. Just go ahead and order it off of Amazon, because when you trying to go to the store to find it, sometimes it's hit or miss. You go 2 or 3 stores and they don't have the whole thing. You can buy each piece separately if you want to. But it's better just go and get the kit and you have it. And here are the gloves if anybody needs gloves.
Keep on.
Yeah, you can cut both ends, yes. Well, that's why you want to kind of choose the ones that are longer. Yeah, choose the longer green. That's why I make sure we got enough green beans so that I can tell that some of those are pretty short.
Yeah. I can take the short ones and go home and steam them and eat them.
Okay, let me see. Oh, I found it, y'all. Yes, I found the lifter. I mean, the little thing, but I don't see my other. There's another little tool. Oh, here it is. Nope, that's the lifter too. This is what I was talking about. This is to pick up your your lids from the bottom in that hot water. You want to get them out.
Yeah.
And there's also what I did train is there's a little tool that measures the head space. You need to have a certain amount of head space in there.
You mean the 2 inch and the 1 inch?
As far as when you fill this jar up,
Yeah.
how far up you need to fill it. That's your head space, but it doesn't. I don't know if it has that on there now, but these are our lifters here. I mean, they're not lifters.
You ever pass scissors in your bag?
No. What you doing?
I get past it.
Oh, you know what? I started to bring my kitchen scissors.
I have all those tools in my car.
You do, yeah.
We going to Mark. I was going to say to you that when it gets to be about 5:30, because really we should be setting up at 4, but I told them we're going to be late, but I'm not going to run away from the class. What about 5:30?
That's fine. We'll try to be finished no later than 5:30. Yeah, we'll try. So, okay.
Yeah. And don't mind me right now, Kabora is my, is me.
Okay.
So, yeah, because,
Okay,
going through some
okay,
little changes with the body.
okay, I totally understand, trust me, I do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and put our jars in here.
Baby, it's the air on in there.
You don't feel it, you feel hot first.
You see me sweat though.
It's dirt. It feels pretty comfortable to me.
It was for a minute. Work's still too small and I can take them on with me.
Yep, sure can.
I had to put my head waiting on her, but she says,
Okay. Yeah, you gotta clip your ears
that should be enough.
and then you gotta put
I got to put my feet in it.
well, you can't do nothing with that now till you gotta sterilize your jaws first.
This the one that you gave me, we already put them on. I'm just saying, I'm ready
You
to
ain't
mine.
been sterilized though. You ain't sterilized. You gotta be sterilized.
This jar that you had on the table, I was just using this to measure. You
Uh-huh.
still need this one.
No, I don't need none. I'm just
Okay.
saying they all gotta be sterilized. You gotta take them out of there.
I know I'm gonna bring the scissors back. I'm just picking
Oh,
out until she bring the scissors back. Then I'll put my head. I just need to know.
yeah.
I need to feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see that. You kind of measure it to see how much you're gonna need.
I didn't cook them and stick them back where they I say I put more in here, it's not enough.
I see, I feel a hole right there. You have, yeah, got a little hole there, so you can probably get a few more in there. Yeah. And when you finish, that's how it should look. So it depends on what spices. I like a lot of garlic in mine. That's just me. I like garlic. Hello, how you doing? All right, all right.
I'm here to take photos of the beginning.
Okay, sure. Sure.
Is Roscoe in here?
He been going in and out the door, so I don't know if he's still out there or not, but he was outside. If you didn't see him outside, he may have gone somewhere. The truck,
I see his truck out there.
well, I don't know then. But yeah, he was out there. Oh, there he is. Yeah. It's your daughter? Oh, oh my goodness. You didn't tell us that it was your daddy. Oh, nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm from Terri. Nice to meet you. So beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm like your mama. Daddy is handsome too. Yeah. right, so once you get it filled up, you know, that's how many you're gonna measure out. And then, once the jars are ready, well, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and make our brine. That's what we're gonna have to do, the first brine.
You gonna keep yours that tall?
No,
Oh,
no, I'm just waiting for her to bring the scissors.
okay.
Okay, so I guess I'll go on and do one then.
She's telling me just to clip them and I know I'm in the fit of the jar.
That's smart. The green beans are pretty fresh, luckily. They're good. And you always want to start when you're canning. You really want to always start with good, fresh product. You don't want to use anything in canning that's starting to go downhill. You know how produce have like, okay, it's gonna start where it's not so right, and then it goes up to a peak, and then after it reaches that peak, it starts to decline.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you don't want to use those products when they're in their declining mode. You want to can. That's what our ancestors did. They canned at the peak of freshness,
Oh.
so that they know when they can their food and they open it again, it's good and fresh. It's the way it's supposed to be. So you always like a lot of times.
I'm glad you said that because I had the mentality like you use the B stuff, you know, the B side, you know, like the B grade stuff, like not the stuff that's in its peak.
No, you
Oh.
always want to use the best. You want to use your best products when you can, because because it's canned and it's going to be on the shelf for a long time. You want it to be a good product, because if that product is starting to decline when you can it, it's not going to be a good product. You know, when you open it again, say a year or so later.
So that's for pickling any kind of preserves?
Any kind, yeah. And then see, people think that like when you're talking about fruits, people think that it's gonna have more pectin in there as it starts to decline, but it's actually more pectin in the fruit when the fruit is fresher than when it's declining. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So always want to use the best, freshest fruit and vegetables that you have. So that's what our ancestors did. Just like we're sitting around doing this stuff, this is the same thing they did. I remember my auntie, when I was a little girl, I was raised and adopted by my grandmother in Alabama. So as a little girl, I was always the youngest in the family, and I had cousins that were, I was probably maybe second or third grade, and I had cousins that were probably in high school. Well, on a certain day, that's when we go do the canning day. I hated it. But me being a little girl, I got away with it. I didn't always have to do the hard work because I was a little kid. But on apple day, everybody come up to my auntie house, and then we go take the apples from the And they said, y'all too rich. Man, that was so crazy. I never got to go, so I didn't do kindergarten. I only started in first grade. So I remember my grandmother, my auntie, and we lived in a community where I think I was pretty blessed to live in a community where it was a Black community. It was called Huntsline. And my grandfather and his brothers bought a big plot of land with their money that they had saved up from being in the military. They all went through World War II. And so they bought this land from this white doctor named Dr. Hunt. And Dr. Hunt was nice enough to sell that land to them. And so they bought the land, divided it up legally, and each one of them built their house. So one built the house, and then the other person would buy theirs, and then they would help build that house. And so that's how we all had a home. And it's sad because, you know, they actually live better than our children are going to be able to live. Our kids are going to struggle to have a home. I mean, it's going to be almost impossible for our children to have a home unless you're making a lot of money. And we're talking over $100,000. You know, that's why I tell people, if you got a house, I don't care how raggedy it is, keep the house. Keep the house and just do the best you can. My house is in bad shape, but it's mine, and I can't afford to go anywhere else. So all I can do is keep my house going. But yeah, my auntie had 7 kids, was it 5 children. And so she worked in a textile factory as well. And so for her, canning was essential. She had to do it because she didn't have a husband. Each one of her husbands died. And so she had to do canning. She had to find a way to feed her children. So doing the peas, we would get a bushel of peas, you know. So it's so many different things that we did to make ends meet. And I'm glad that I had those experiences because it allows me now to do, you know, what I'm doing now and really understand why we did it. You know, what it was like to live through this, you know. So I'm grateful for those memories.
And as farmers now, with an abundance and a lot of people are getting into farming, now you're finding more and more small farmers. We don't want our food to stay in the field and just go bad.
That's right.
So it is more or less a necessity to keep so that through the winter, until when stuff starts coming. And even now, you see what we're going through now? Ross, how are you managing with this heat?
Seriously.
Yes.
You know what? And see, that's what I say too. I don't feel as though when I was growing up, it was as hot as it is now.
No.
Because I never had air conditioning, so this heat is different. It's different.
It's different.
It's global warming and climate change is real. I mean, it really is. Where you can see it. We wouldn't have been able to survive like that.
No, it's I know I couldn't survive in the desert, but all we're having now is terrible winters and terrible summers. We're not having any springs or fall because we just supposedly got into summer. And we were having 98 degrees from it's supposed to be spring.
That's why I stopped growing a lot of stuff. Like pak choy, for instance. It's not because I'm from Guyana, South America, below the equator. The pak choy grows in that heat. But it's the spring what Mama Lee talk about. It goes, you get this gradual thing that
that's what I saw too.
Is what
that's what I saw too.
It was only during that first year of COVID that we had a normal spring because people were not traveling and the earth was definitely cooler. That's my evidence that climate change is real. You're trying to tell me it's just, you know, some people try to tell you, it's climate always changing. We used to have ice age.
This is different. You can tell our environment is really changing. And I watch a lot of these shows, you know, they say I'm a little weird like that, but I love it. I watch all these shows on the scientists and people who are doing the research around the world. The people who are looking up in the mountains and seeing that water, those glaciers start to melt. You would think that those glaciers has nothing to do with us, but it really does. All of that affects everything. So anything that is out of balance is going to affect everything, you know?
We had two years not too long ago that Food Alliance and USDA were giving grants because of we had perishing crops. I can't be out there in that heat right now to water.
Because I know when we went to Texas, it was so hot. We went to Texas last year for the ACGA conference, and that was the last week of September, and they had already put the garden beds. They said put the beds to sleep.
Yeah.
Because they said it's just too hot. It's just like you can't.
That in itself is evidence, because September is now the hottest month.
Yeah.
I remember even as a young farmer here, when my children were younger, like we would count on the hurricane rain.
Yeah.
So like you can start your fall crops early August.
Yep.
And the hurricane rain is gonna come around and give good water to get them strong, those greens.
Yep.
Now September is the hottest month on the calendar.
Yep.
September.
And look at what happened 1st of June. Look at that big hurricane that came through.
Oh,
I mean, you remember when I mean, I'm older than you, but listen, there's a verse that goes like that, and it has to do with hurricane. June, too soon. July, stand by. August, look out you must. September, remember, and October, it's all over.
Yeah.
From a child, I remember that. So August is when hurricane, we're supposed to be looking out for hurricane. No, we're looking out for hurricane the end of May.
And see that hurricane that came in, nobody expected it to hit Houston. That thing turned so quick. They just,
I went through so many different countries.
Yeah, because I'm a hurricane watcher. I like everything related to the plants, to the environment, all that stuff fascinating. And I watched that hurricane, and I went on vacation, and then I was in New Orleans, and I did nothing. I saw it on TV in New Orleans, and then I looked and said, "What do you mean there's a hurricane hit Houston? I thought it was up in Corpus Christi and Brownsville." How quickly that thing changed, And they were saying just like we're having more and more hurricanes. Yeah. And a lot of people in the islands, what they're saying is that they're bearing the brunt of this because we're not doing enough to combat climate change, and they're the ones that are getting it first. Getting it first,
Yeah.
And because one of the guys, he was saying, I don't know how much longer our economy can take a hurricane and rebuilding, He's like, we just don't have the money to keep rebuilding.
Check your insurance. Yeah. I have a 2020 Toyota truck. My insurance is just a little bit less than my car payment.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy.
And the insurance companies, they're just going up.
They're going up like it's nothing.
They raise you $150
like it's nothing.
And then you ask and says, well, why do you?
And having a good driving record, that don't matter no more. It used to be you have a good driving record. Yeah, your insurance is going to be low. I remember my grandfather, he's like, I ain't had an accident in 12 years. His insurance was cheap. That don't matter no more. They can care less.
So, Sister Terri, quick question. How long is this going to sterilize?
Once it boils, that's good. So this is ready to go. Okay. Well, it's not quite boiling, but once it get that nice little rapid boil, that's enough for the sterilization, really. Yeah. We're not so, we want it to be sterilized, but we're more concerned about actually the timing of us, processing it. That's the most important. But we do want our jars to be good and sterilized. And a lot of people will skip that step. And we also wash them, then sterilize them too. So I would say once we get a nice, rapid boil, that's enough.
And those are these are the steps which will avert, like what you was telling us at the beginning of the class.
Yes, anything
where the thing will pop up.
Yes. So that's why when you're canning, you want to be clean and sterilized every step of the way. So you want to start with washing your pot that you're using. Then you want to make sure you wash these jars because they're new jars. We got them from the store just today. We don't know what they've been through, so we want to wash them. Then we want to sterilize them. And then once we finish sterilizing them, we want to touch them as little as possible. That's why we'll use this so that we don't have to be putting our hands all on it. And then we'll use this actually to lift out our top. So we're actually trying to touch this as little as we can. We don't want to put our hands on it if we don't have to. All that is part of the sterilization and making sure, we're very clean. So yeah, once we get that ready, we're just going to take, things here and see. I lift them sometime I can lift it from the bottom here to make sure that our water, excuse me, I got it the wrong way. um, that way I'm getting the water out of there and I'm still not touching it. So that's the thing. We want to make sure we keep everything as sterile as we can. That way we don't have any microorganisms or anything growing. And if we do, we know that we process it properly. And so it's going to be safe. That's why I say safety is the most important thing when you're canning, because especially if you're feeding your family, or if you're selling this at a market, you want to feel confident that what you process is safe for someone and it'll last a long time. I think you missed it when I was talking about my grandmother who adopted me. Well, I call her mama. She died in 2005. I still have the last.
Oh yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, she did. You know, so you know.
That's powerful.
That's a lot for something from 2005 to now to still be edible. And I don't even eat it. I just keep it in my refrigerator and just look at it. You know.
So what's the medium? Because canning, we think of canning, we think of the tin can.
Okay.
And
well,
so it seems like to me like this is safer. I mean, I can't.
The tin can process was something that was done, but you had to go to a canner to have it done, which, you know, some people were too far away from the canner. Some Black people probably wouldn't even be allowed to go to the canner. But there are still, I think, maybe one canner here in Georgia. I know of for sure. But they actually can the products, actually put it in a can.
But what I'm asking for is like in terms of the safety of it. This is my assumption. I just want you to correct me. Like that. The mason jars would be safer. They would have less. They would have less.
Yes, because you don't have
less seepage of any kind of thing over time.
Rusting, what happened? You know, so that's why that was a little bit harder to do, and it had to be done by someone. With this method here, anybody at home can do this. You don't have to go and find a canner. You know, you could do it at home. So I say this is very safe because everything is sanitized. You know, this glass is clean. You have good boiling water. So,
and those cans, I don't know. I mean, now they have a coating, like a wax, you know. A coating on there. But late gone by,
they didn't.
They rust after a while.
Sure could.
I don't know about the inside, but the outside sure is
but once it started to rust outside, you would think that could seep inside as well. So that's
because it's broken down.
Yeah, it's broken down. That metal can is no longer intact. So, but I feel as though this is safer. I'm not sure. I can't say that for sure, but I feel as though it's safer. But this method just allowed everybody to be able to do it at home. And depending on where you were in the world, that determined what type of processing of food. This is called preserving. Canning is just one form of preserving. You also have dehydrating, which I love dehydrating. So if you lived in an area that was really hot and really dry, you could do dehydrating. If you live somewhere where it was cold all the time, then you would have to freeze things, you know, especially meats and stuff. So it just depends. If you live like in Louisiana near water, then you would catch fish and then you could dry your fish out. So wherever you live kind of determine what kind of food, what access to food. Like if we live near the Chattahoochee, we know we can go fishing on the Chattahoochee. If you live in Louisiana, you know you could go out there and get shrimp and get crab. So where you live kind of determines the food access. Excuse me.
You have any lemon? It would help you to lemon some.
No. So we can once y'all get your string beans cut down, because y'all working on it. Boy, y'all said y'all will get y'all 3 jars in. So I told with the number of people here, they can do 3 jars each.
Absolutely.
And then 2 jars for you, because we have a total of 12 jars.
Okay.
So, but yeah, they working on these green beans, boy. But this is what it's all about. This is how, as families, as women, in the family, they would come together. They would talk. They would spend time together. That's something we don't do much anymore, you know. And we need to do more of that. Just sitting around the table, talking and laughing, you know.
Or out in the garden.
Yeah, out in the garden. But we, you know, this is something we as women have always done together. You know, and sometimes it was a lot. Like this ain't nothing. This little bit of green beans we got, even if we did all of it we have here, this still ain't nothing compared to how they would can, you know.
Is there a dehydrating class?
Well, the hard thing about a dehydrating class is it takes so long for it to dehydrate.
Mhm.
You could start the process, but you wouldn't finish it. Even if we had 6 hours, that may not be enough to dehydrate.
You need it overnight.
Yeah. So
In my
like
commercial
sometimes,
kitchen, we have a commercial dehydrator
mhm.
that is available for.
I love dehydrating. Now, one of my favorite things is, of course, tomatoes, and I like to dehydrate them. Put a little bit of herbs, just a little bit of salt on there, and a little bit of olive oil, and then dehydrate
Sun
them
dried
down.
tomatoes.
Yes, oh my goodness, I love, and they're expensive in the store.
Oh,
But when we get all of these tomatoes in the summertime, and we sit up there and let them go bad, just go ahead and dehydrate them.
Mhm.
I said, before we let anything go bad, dehydrate it or freeze it. I mean, you have options. Even with lemons, I tell people, don't let the lemon go bad. Just put the lemon in the freezer. When you bring it back out, you're only going to be using it for the juice.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You can use it for the juice, or you can use that same lemon and say, oh, I have a dish and I wanted to add a little lemon flavor, or preserved lemons. I like to do preserved lemons as well.
Mhm.
So
You peel that.
the preserves, lemons, no, you leave the preserved ones whole, and you just put them in, salt and I believe oil, salt and oil. But I made them once before, it's been a while. First to get going, you guys can go ahead and start making the brine. And so we'll go with if we do more than one, we'll do the longer one with the more ingredients, the spice one. So this is easy. This is actually the easy part to me. So you're just gonna mix up the 6 cups of vinegar, 3 cups of water, 3/4 cups of sugar, 3 tablespoons of pickling spice, a tablespoon of pickling salt, 14 garlic cloves, peeled and cut in half, and red pepper flakes. So we're basically going to combine the vinegar, water, sugar, pickling spice, and salt, and bring to a boil. And then once we do that, we can add to our jars. We can add our garlic cloves and the red pepper to the jar before we pack them. Okay. After we do that, we'll take our brine and pour it over the jar. All right. So mix the vinegar, water, sugar, pickling spice, and salt. All right, and then